Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom now.
Bain drives.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead.
Yeah!
Jared with a knockaway.
Good defense.
Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Let's go, let's go!
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you for the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you're ready for Friday night basketball in downtown Memphis, because we got it tonight, and it's a good one. Knicks, Grizz, 7 o'clock tip inside FedEx Forum. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com. It's the team that's alone in second in the West against the team that's alone in third in the East. Two contenders for the 2025 NBA title, I think, I hope. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. In the next segment, in about 20 minutes, Jessica Benson is going to join me in studio. She, of course, is the host of the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. She'll pop in here. We'll talk Grizzlies and also get ready for Sunday night's Oscars. Bennett sent me an interesting story, courtesy of Variety this morning. I'll address it and the controversy surrounding it. We'll do that in the next segment. Jessica Benson going to be here in about 20 minutes. When we finish talking to JB, we'll take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Travis Kelce has announced that he will return to the Kansas City Chiefs next season. Pat McAfee appeared to break the news. I'll give you the quotes. We'll do it in about 40 minutes. Steph Curry went big last night, made 12 three-pointers, finished with 56 points in a win over Orlando, and the Warriors are now 7-1 with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. I'll give you some more numbers. Do that a little later on in the show. Anthony Edwards got ejected last night during the Timberwolves' loss to the Lakers. His coach held him accountable after the game. I'll give you the quote. We'll do that in just a bit. Zion got a triple-double last night in the Pelicans' victory over Phoenix. I'll tell you the crazy thing about that. We'll do that in the second hour. And the Battle of the Bones is now set for Sunday in Birmingham. UAB won last night to keep first place in play when the Tigers and Blazers meet inside Bartow Arena. It should be a fun one. We'll get you ready for that. We'll do it during a segment. We call 5 more things you need to know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because game 59 of a scheduled 82, it's going to be played tonight inside FedEx Forum. Knicks Grizz, we got a 7 o'clock tip. Tickets are available. Grizzlies.com. It's a matchup between the teams that are currently sitting at second in the West and third in the East. The Grizz are 38-20, alone in second in the West, half game ahead of Denver in the conference standings. The Knicks also identical record, 38-20, alone in third in the East, 3.5 games back of Boston, 4.5 games ahead of Indiana. Last time we saw them, Bennett, you probably remember. It was ugly. They beat the Grizzlies 143-106 in Madison Square Garden. I was there. It was rough. That was not a good night to be a Grizzlies fan in Midtown Manhattan. Wasn't a good night to be a Grizzlies player in Midtown Manhattan. But I don't know. It is interesting, the NBA. You sort of focus on your team, and then you pay attention to another team when your team's playing them. And then particularly if they happen to be in different conferences, you might lose track of them a little bit. So if you're a Grizzlies fan, you might have lost track of the Knicks a little bit since they beat the Grizz by 1 billion inside Madison Square Garden. But did you realize they're just 6-4 since that night, and they have blowout losses on the resume to the Celtics twice and the Cavs once. They lost to Boston by 27 at home since the last time you've seen them destroy the Grizzlies. Then lost at Cleveland by 37, and then lost again to Boston by 13. So their fans, Knicks fans, are kind of asking some of the same questions Grizzlies fans are asking these days. Like, okay, we like our core. We know we're good. We're going to finish top 3 in our conference. But how good are we relative to the teams that we're chasing? Are we good enough to actually beat them in the regular season consistently, in a 7-game series, if it materializes? We know we're going to win way more than we lose. But here's the truth with the Knicks. They're 0-5 against the 2 teams ahead of them in the Eastern Conference standings right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. In the last 3 losses, I mean, 2 of them were by 27 or more. That is kind of the question some Grizzlies fans are asking right now, isn't it? Like, hey, we know we're good. We're about to finish second in the West probably as a franchise for the 3rd time in a 4-year span. You can't do that unless you're good. And the only time it wasn't true was last season when everybody was hurt. So we're not debating whether they're good, not debating whether they're one of the best teams in the world. All of that's undeniable. But are they good enough to compete with the Oklahoma Cities? And on the other side with the Celtics and the Cavaliers. Knicks fans are asking very similar questions. Identical records, 38-20, Grizzlies and Knicks. They both have identical records, but they also have issues against the teams they're looking up at. And there's some data that suggests you are very good relative to the rest of the league, but you're not as good as those guys. How do you make sense of that?
So, yeah, it is kind of, the parallels between these two teams, it is kind of crazy, actually. And the fact that they have the same record is pretty wild, too. I think, like, for me, the big difference, and I can't sit here and act like that I've seen the Knicks play as much as the Grizzlies this year, but just from, like, what that team has been and how they're constructed and who their coach is, like, I think if I was in a Knicks fan situation, I might feel a little bit more reassured than I would if I was in a Grizzlies fan situation with how the postseason could go. Because with the Knicks, we've seen them get in these, slug it out kind of series, like these really defensive oriented series. And they've got guys that are great defenders on that team, and of course their coach is Tom Thibodeau, so we know what his track record is. So I think, like, in a playoff setting, you'd probably say today you'd feel better if you're a Knicks fan, but I think most basketball people would say that.
You feel better if you're a Knicks fan. If we were doing the B block today on whatever the NBA show on ESPN is mid-afternoon, if we were doing the B block in that and I was producing it, and I'd say, all right, guys, hey, in top of the B block, I'm just going to ask you, who do you trust more in a 7-game series? The Grizzlies or the Knicks heading into tonight's game? Who do you trust more in a 7-game series, the Grizzlies or the Knicks? I think most people on that panel would tell you the Knicks.
Yeah, I think so too. That being said, like, I do, like, I just look at, like, that I look at that conference and our conference. It has, after I said all that I said, I think I'd be more worried about trying to get past the Celtics and the Cavs than I would on the Grizzlies side. Oklahoma City, and I think I'd probably be more worried if I was on that side having to face those two teams.
Well, we can have a debate about who the best team in the NBA is, the Thunder or the Cavs. And I know still people will take the Celtics hey, you can have the best records, but once we get to the postseason, I'm taking Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and the team that's done it before.
Right.
So I get all that. I do think that, so we can have all sorts of debates about Thunder, Cavs, Celtics, put them in whatever order you want to put them in. But I don't think this is debatable. The top two in the East are tougher than the top two in the West.
I think so.
They just are.
Yeah, I think so. Even though that Cleveland team hasn't done it, like it's veteran laden, like it's they've built that thing up, like they're ready now.
So if you're the Knicks, I think both of these things could be true. You might trust them theoretically more in a 7-game series than the Grizzlies, but there's also a theoretical path for them to the NBA Finals that requires them eliminating both Cleveland and Boston. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there is you name the path for the Grizzlies to the NBA Finals, and I don't think there's a path that is as difficult as a theoretical path of having to eliminate the Cavaliers and Celtics in consecutive series in whatever order. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, having to eliminate the Thunder, that's a tall task, but there's nobody else in the West that I would put in the category with the Celtics and Cavaliers. I don't think there's anybody else in the West that would scare me as much as the Cavs or Celtics would scare me. Yeah. Although
Jokic scares me, but I don't know how much. Yeah.
Although Jokic is a thing.
Yeah.
And the Warriors are better and different with Jimmy Butler.
That's right.
And it's still Luka and LeBron.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
It's going to be a fun postseason, Bennett.
Dude, it really is. I'm really fired up for this game tonight. This is a big revenge opportunity for the Grizzlies. That Knicks game was disgusting. It's cool the Knicks are in town on a Friday night and they're good.
Yes.
How many times has that happened in the history of the Grizzlies being in Memphis where the Knicks come here on a weekend and they're actually really good? Like, it can't be many.
I am not somebody who believes everything is better when the big markets are the best. I don't subscribe to that. The NFL's doing just fine when the biggest brand in the sport is the Kansas City Chiefs, not the New York Giants or the LA Rams,
right?
The Chicago Bears. The Kansas City Chiefs have been the biggest brand in the sport. That's not the biggest market. It's not the most glamorous market.
Right.
I mean, they can't even get Taylor to live there full time, right?
Fair.
And it's fine. It doesn't matter because, the NFL's fine, even if its biggest brand is in not its biggest market. I don't subscribe that it needs to be that way. That every World Series should be either the Mets and the Yankees, or it should be the Mets against the Yankees or the Dodgers against the Red Sox. I don't think it needs to be that. But that said, I do think the NBA is more fun and interesting when the Knicks are good. There's something about the NBA mattering in Midtown Manhattan and those Knicks uniforms being relevant and playoff games in the Garden and Spike Lee courtside and whoever else you get courtside. I mean, every game, there's Timothy Chalamet, there's Ben Stiller. There's something. The NBA is better for that. We get real excited when we get Mark Goodfellow and Glorilla courtside, They got Oscar winners, courtside every game. It's great for the NBA when the Knicks are relevant. It's great for Memphis when the Knicks are relevant and in town on a Friday night. So it should be an awesome scene, hopefully a fun game. And it's also a reminder that there's a million different ways to do this thing when you watch these teams play each other. They have the exact same records. On some level, similar issues as it pertains to we're good, but are we as good as we need to be? Maybe that's the best way to put it. We're good, but are we as good as we need to be to do what we want to do? You can reasonably ask that about the Grizzlies, and I think you can reasonably ask that about the Knicks. And so they're in very similar situations, but they get here in dramatically different ways. We've been talking all season about the Grizzlies not playing their guys X amount of minutes per game, and whereas Thibodeau, I saw a thing went viral on social media the other day, and it was the most used three-man lineup combinations in the NBA. And Like number one, I'm making it up, but you'll get the point.
Yeah.
Like number one was Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Karl Anthony Towns. And the next one was Jalen Brunson. They were all three-man Knicks lineups for the most part. So Thibodeau is somebody who really believes in these are our best players. We're going to play them every game as much as necessary. And because he fundamentally doesn't, I don't want to speak for him, but there's no evidence that he believes in load management.
No.
And I have worked with people who have played for Tom Thibodeau before, and they will tell you he just doesn't subscribe to it. Like, he doesn't believe it. You can sit him down all day long and tell him the importance of limiting minutes and keeping guys fresh, and he doesn't think it's worth it. He just does not. He just thinks you're wrong. You can talk to him all you want to, but at the end of it, he'll just say, okay, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And then he will ignore it because he doesn't believe in it. And so you'll get that on display tonight too. And I know the numbers have changed a little bit with the Grizzlies, but that has been a talking point. So these two very opposite talking points connected to franchise. In New York, do the guys really need to be playing this much? That's one question they ask sometimes in the regular season.
Yep.
And will it take a toll on you in the postseason? And in Memphis, it's more, should the star players be playing a little bit more? And could you benefit from it if they actually did? So different approaches, same records, fun game tonight, 7 o'clock, inside FedEx Forum. Jessica Benson, she'll be in studio next.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing at FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
If you go to a hustle game, you're going to see a very fast-paced game. A lot of action, both offensively, defensively.
Nice rejection right there.
In a great environment at the Landers Center. You could bring family there, kids are running around.
Down the lane and one for Zion Poland.
And then you're going to see a lot of talented basketball players competing at a high level.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough studio, and on Fridays in the second segment, I'm joined by the host of the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurd. Weekdays 8 a.m. It's Jessica Benson in purple. Hey, Jessica Benson in purple.
Gary
How are
Parrish,
you?
not in purple. I'm great. How are you?
I'm. You know, I've been better. I've been worse.
Have you gone to the doctor yet?
No. I think you got to have little bit of free time to do that.
That is true.
I've been struggling with free time lately.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I'm going to get some someday, though.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe in April.
Maybe April.
Just got to hold on for another month and a half.
I'll do
the
my
Final
best.
Four does just keep getting later and later, it feels.
You do feel like you're just holding on a little bit, just trying to hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lowered the bar for myself. Just see if I can hold on.
Hey, how you doing? I'm just holding on.
That's really probably
you should start answering
that's
the
best
question.
assessment of where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to hold on and losing a grip every once in a while.
It's okay.
Losing a grip every once in a while. Big game tonight inside FedEx Forum, 7 o'clock.
It is.
Knicks are in town, which is kind of always cool. It's a big brand, even if it hasn't been one of the best franchises, the most successful in our lifetimes, and mine's longer than yours. It's still a big brand.
Right.
And now they are good. They're coming off a nice season. They're having a nice season. Last time we saw them, it wasn't pretty, but they've kind of had their own little struggles since last time we saw them. What do you expect tonight?
They could also be healthy totally healthy.
Right.
This could go multiple ways.
Sure.
They could be the least healthy that they've been. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable. Josh Hart is questionable. But Mitchell Robinson's questionable.
Right.
And if he plays, if Cat plays, if Josh Hart plays, then it's the full picture for the first time for the Knicks this season. So it's exciting to have the opportunity to go up a team. I would like everyone to be healthy. I'd like Desmond Bane to be healthy for the Grizzlies. He's questionable on the injury report. But I was listening to, I talked about this on my show, I ended up listening to the Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart episode of their podcast where they were talking about this narrative of being, it's not a narrative, this fact about being 0-7 against the top teams in the league. And at the end of the day, they said, it comes down to you are not the better team that night on the court. Now, it's February 28th. You can get better. Like, this is where improvement happens. And for the Grizzlies, the night they played the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, they were not the better team on the court. They turned it over 26 times. Now you have a direct measuring stick if you're the Grizzlies. Like, can we look better? Can we put up a better effort this time around? And for the Knicks, the Grizzlies are not in the territory of Celtics, Cavs, Thunder, but they're right in that category below. So you have a battle between two very good teams. Who can be the better of the good teams? I think that sets up a very fun matchup.
We were talking about it earlier. It's very comparable situations between the Knicks and Grizzlies. I know they look like two different level teams when we watched them play inside the Garden, but they're very comparable in a variety of ways. Just raw numbers, the records are identical, 38-20. And yet they both have struggled against the teams they look up at. You know, the Knicks are 6-4 since they beat the Grizzlies, and 3 of those losses are to the Cavs and Celtics, all 3 by double digits, 2 of them by 27 plus. And I just know from sitting in studio around a bunch of Knicks fans, like every time the Knicks are playing, that is one of the games that is on in the studio in addition to all of the college basketball stuff. Like we're going to have Rangers games and Islanders games and Knicks games. So I'm just surrounded by these people. And they sound a lot like Grizzlies fans. It's like, all right, I know we're good, but are we good enough? Are we? I know we're good, but are we good enough?
It's shrouded in some doubt
to do what we need to do.
Yes.
And every time you start saying things like, and that's a nice thing to say, we just weren't the better team on the court that night. That's a nice thing to say.
I think if you're a player, that's the mentality that you have to have in
Sure.
an 82-game season. It's better than you look at like the press conference recently. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but I saw it on my way in. Devin Booker's out here talking about like, when did this all start to unravel? Was there a point? And he goes, I think we got too comfortable in the we'll get them next time mentality.
Right.
And eventually you can't get them next time because you've let so many get by you that you're too far down in the standings.
I think that you can trick yourself with that mentality.
Yes.
And also with this mentality. Because as a basketball player, perhaps it's best to just say, hey, we just weren't the better team tonight. We'll try to be the better team tomorrow. Fine approach as a basketball player. As an analyst, at some point I'm looking at, well, how often are you actually the better team when you're playing those types of teams? And if it's the Knicks and we're talking about the Cavs and Celtics,
it's been never.
It's literally never.
At least the Grizzlies have the win over the Celtics. I know it came way back in early December, but it's there. At least the Grizzlies beat the Nuggets early in the season. Sure, it came with Nikola Jokic on the bench and a very different Nuggets team than what's playing today. But they have that on their resume as someone who has to evaluate a lot of resumes.
Right.
At least those exist.
That's right.
And with the Knicks, they simply don't.
But I do find it interesting that I hear some of the same questions from Knicks fans and Grizzlies fans. Like, we know we're good, we like our team, but are we good enough relative to those guys? And I think Grizzlies fans, particularly after what happened last time against Oklahoma City, it's like, all right, there was a time where we were perceived to be ahead of them in the pecking order. And then there was a time like, who do you like future more? Thunder, Grizzlies, and now that conversation seems not a conversation anymore, and that's not where you expect it to be, even if broadly speaking things are good.
Yeah, at least you can get into the minutia of it. Like, well, the Knicks got blown out, but the Grizzlies only lost to the Cavs by 6.
Yeah.
And what if Jaren had made those 2 free throws,
Sure.
or what if he hadn't had to sit out for the third quarter because he was in foul trouble? Like, you can really talk yourself into things. The Knicks feel genuinely, it's so interesting listening to Knicks fans talk about their team. I think there's still a greater sense of optimism, and this is, I don't live in New York, I don't talk to Knicks fans every day, so take this as you will. There's still more optimism for the Grizzlies. Knicks fans seem to be in a real rough place with their team.
Well, how about this? I just think everything is more intense.
That's fair.
So, like, I'm sitting around the other night, and I hear somebody say, if this doesn't get better, like, there's got to be some changes. And I'm like,
what?
How bad is it? And I went and I was like, okay, it's not as good as it was. And I realized you just got pounded by the Celtics and the Cavs. But, like, changes? You're 38 and 20. Like, you're 38 and 20. You're alone in third in the Eastern Conference. What are we doing? What are we doing? But yes.
You're not the Wizards.
You're not the Wizards.
Like,
but there are some Grizzlies fans who say shit like that too.
Yes.
Like, or at least tweet it.
It becomes the highs and lows. Well, no, it gets past the highs and lows of win-loss, and it becomes a no matter what. There are people who just want to live in hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can nitpick any coaching staff.
You can nitpick any player. You can nitpick any coaching staff. That's your prerogative. I don't necessarily think it's a very resourceful use of your time.
I try to look at big picture.
Yes.
I don't feel I'm qualified to question a basketball coach on every single basketball decision.
I think that's
Even
fair.
as somebody who has done this job for a long time, I don't feel confident enough in my own ability to question a basketball coach, an actual good one, on every decision that a basketball coach makes. I can pick my spots and I can note trends. So I tend, when it comes to coaches, if you ask me, are they doing a good job? I just take a step back and look at the big picture. And I says, well, 38 and 20, alone in second in the West. Looks like it. Looks like doing a good job. I will keep it that simple.
And you can keep it that simple, and then a game like tonight gives you another piece of what feels like significant data. And then you're going to play the Spurs tomorrow, and it's a team you've already beaten 3 times this season. And sure, you want to beat the Spurs again, but like, the world isn't going to crumble if you lose a game. You're going to lose games. Good teams lose games. Great teams lose less than good teams. That's just factually how it goes. But it's all going to drive us to next Wednesday. Like, the game against the Thunder on national television is going to be a real great barometer in the beginning of March. Are you right there?
Right.
Are you able to win? Or are you so far back that general expectations should be altered for the rest of the season? And that feels heavy for one game, but I do think...
Okay, let me stop you here for a second. What are expectations right now among Grizzlies fans? What are your expectations right now?
Second round of the playoffs would be the minimum. Like, you cannot lose in the first round of the playoffs. You have to.
I do
get
not think
to the
you can
second
feel good
round
about
of
the season if you lose in the first round of the playoffs.
And I think there are a lot of people out there who will not feel good unless the Grizzlies make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
And I think maybe I'm one of them.
Right.
I don't know. I try not to be that. It's really hard to win a championship. It's really hard to make it to a conference finals, and that's not like trying to make excuses. That's just the nature of sports. I've watched a lot of sports in my life and understand just how difficult and how everything has to align pretty close to perfectly for those things to transpire.
Right.
So I think I feel comfortable saying, so long as there is a competitive Western Conference semifinals, it wouldn't feel good to lose in that. But I think you can make an argument that can still look like a successful season, depending how it ends. The details of it have to get ironed out.
Yeah, I think we got to know who's healthy, who's not, all of that. So I'll talk about it this way. If I can talk. Almost regardless.
You get choked up about it already?
That's what's hilarious about this issue that I'm dealing
You're
with.
constantly choked up.
It sounds like I'm getting choked up all the time.
You're emotional. Your eyes are watering a little bit.
But I'm not actually.
You don't have to cry. It's not over yet.
Do you want a cough drop?
No.
You don't like cough drops. See, that's your problem. You don't like cough drops.
I'm not against cough drops.
Yes, you are. You're anti-cough drop.
Bennett, I am not anti-cough drop.
I've tried to throw a cough drop at you before, and you were like...
You hate cough drops.
That is a wild mischaracterization of my
I feel like you're anti-cough drop.
I'm telling you, I'm not. I would admit to this if I were. I'm not anti-cough drop. I don't love them, but I don't reject them.
How about bronchial syrup?
You got some on you?
That's what cured me. Have you heard me cough? You heard me cough lately, Gary?
No, are you doing better?
Yeah, I'm on the bronchial syrup. I get it at Whole Foods.
Well, can I
don't know.
buy
Chris's barber told him about this bronchial syrup. It's some like organic.
Do you carry it around
tastes
with you? You
horrible.
got it in your
No.
pocket?
It's in my bathroom. I do it before and after I brush my teeth.
They also do.
I mean, in the morning and night.
They also
Before
do
after.
like the medical grade cough drops. Like I see her and Hasseltine
Oh yeah,
up on
we're
radio.
on that. We're on that Vicks Vapo.
Dude, those things it tastes like just like you ate like a handful of actual
I
mint.
love it.
Yeah.
Clears up the sinuses.
Maybe I need that.
I have those for fun. Those are like candy.
I am coughing, but the cough is not as disruptive for my job because I can sort of keep that in.
I do understand how frustrating it is. Like when I lost my voice in November, it was so infuriating because I didn't feel terrible. So I was able to do things, but I couldn't talk. And then everybody constantly was like, how are you feeling? Did you? And at that point, I had gone to a doctor. I'd gone to multiple doctors trying to get it figured out. And they're like, just got it. There's nothing you can really do. But you do start searching for things. So cough drops. I'm telling you, though, that bronchial syrup, man, might have changed my life. I'll take a picture of it when I get home and I'll send it to you.
I might have to invest in bronchial syrup. As I've said a million times, like I get a little sick talking about this because it feels like I'm complaining, and I promise I'm not. Like my life's like I'm lucky to be able to talk for a living, but it does become frustrating when you're struggling to speak for a living, and that is what you get paid to do.
We could Instacart Gaia Herbs Bronchial Wellness. That's the one I used. We could Instacart it right now. I wonder how quickly it could get here.
I'm going to get it on my own terms.
Okay.
I'm going to get it on my own terms.
Okay.
You know, my own schedule. But I am going to invest because I need to do something. I'd like to be able to speak normally again by Monday. Fingers crossed. So I mostly feel fine. It's just that as I'm talking, suddenly the word, I can't get any words out. And it does give the appearance that I'm getting choked up. So like earlier today on the Island College Basketball Podcast, we were talking about Pat Scarry securing a CAA title last night at Towson. And Pat's somebody Matt Norlander and I have both known for a while. He's one of the great guys.
Great name.
Yeah, and he's like one of the best. And so I was just like, it's just doing one of these things I do. Like, you know, there's not a lot of fanfare at that level of the sport.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a situation at Towson where you win a big road game and you get on your private plane and you fly back home and there's 2,000 people waiting for you at the airport and your next game's sold out and it's on CBS. Like this mostly just happens in the dark. Most people have no idea what you're even doing or that you're doing it. But I'm just telling you, when you watch Bruce Pearl climb a ladder and cut nets at Auburn later this year on national television, it will mean no more to BP than I lose my voice. And Norlander was like, dude, are you getting choked up? And I was like, no, like I'm happy for Pat Scarry, but I'm not crying for Pat Scarry. I just can't get the words out.
It's okay if you're getting teary-eyed. Okay.
Maybe I was getting a little emotional about Pat Scarry. I was happy for him. My expectations would be this. Almost regardless of what happens, you don't make it to the Western Conference semifinals. That's disappointing.
Yes.
It's just... It'd be the third time.
There's no getting around it.
In theory, it would be the third time in a 4-year span that you finished top 2 in the West and then didn't follow through with what that suggests.
Yes.
That would be disappointing. I think without context, if you tell me you're in the Western Conference Finals, that's good. That's
great.
Yeah, and if you get blown out by Oklahoma City,
it's still so fun.
I just say, okay, we got work to do, but like you were supposed to be the second best team in the West, and you were. And you're not as good as those guys.
You're playing late May.
Yeah, you're not as good as those
There
guys.
are 4 teams left.
Right.
That's all anybody's watching by that time of the year.
Right, and we kind of knew all the way back in February that you weren't as good as those guys. And then it turned out you weren't as good as those guys. Let's spend the offseason trying to figure out how to get as good as those guys or close the gap. I think I feel good about that no matter what.
I do too.
The thing that gets in the middle is Western Conference semifinals. How does that? You get there, then what happens? Do you lose in 7 because Jaren Jackson pulled a hamstring in Game 3? Do you win in 6 because Nikola Jokic broke his neck in Game 2?
Oh God!
Let's make this cut both ways.
Yep.
Like I need to know what happens in the Western Conference semifinals before I can tell you if I feel good about it or not. But anything short of the Western Conference semifinals, I will join along with Grizzlies fans who are disappointed in that.
What if it's a first round loss to the Warriors?
Oh,
because that's who you play, right?
No.
If it started tomorrow, that's who you play.
At some point, that's supposed to be the old team on the way out, and you're supposed to be the young team on the way up. You cannot get eliminated by them again. You can't get eliminated by them again and keep talking like you're something that you're clear that you haven't been.
I do think that would be the it would be miserable in my household. I want to be perfect. Like, we don't root for that in our household. Because Chris genuinely wants to root for the Grizzlies.
Sure.
He has turned into a Grizzlies fan.
Sure.
Both by living in the city, by being married to me. He roots for the Grizzlies every night unless they are playing the Golden State Warriors. That is his team forever. That's never going to change.
Right.
That's his childhood. That's his
Sure.
existence. That's every memory of his. He went to the damn championship parade. Like, he flew out for a day. He's that kind of a fan.
Right.
We cannot do it again.
Right.
The last go around was tough. There was some game with Dylan Brooks. I don't even remember the exact details, but my God, we're screaming at each other about Dylan Brooks in a house that we're dog sitting for. And I'm like, if they have cameras, they are going to think we are on the brink of divorce over Dylan Brooks in the Western Conference semifinals. However, narrative-wise,
right.
there is no better like closing one circle and moving to the next than beating the Warriors in the first round.
That's right.
Because you still have Steph, you still have Draymond, you still have Steve Kerr. It would mean a little bit more even if you had Klay 4 rings Thompson on the other side, but it would be quite the I love stories. I don't. Want
I just think that would. I think losing to
them would be on the flip side of that.
Losing to the Warriors or Lakers
would be horrific.
Would be horrific because.
And I think the Timberwolves too.
Oh, that would be brutal. Yes,
I think
everyone
those three teams losing in the first round would be the absolute worst case scenario that you're looking at.
I think Warriors and Lakers would be worse than Timberwolves, and here's why: because if you were to be eliminated by the Warriors or Lakers,
you're choked up again.
If you were to be eliminated by the Warriors or Lakers, while Oklahoma City then eliminates them and goes to the finals. What that illustrates is you're still not as good as the old teams that you're supposed to be better than now. Mm-hmm. And you're also not as good as the young team that you were supposed to be better than right now. There is a moment in time in this world where people said things like this. In 2025, the LeBron, Lakers, and Steph Warriors will be aged out of this thing. Uh-huh. And
what a funny prediction.
And the young Grizzlies will now be in their prime Grizzlies, and that is the franchise that is set up best to take a Western Conference crown. And now the reality is that a team that was younger than you has passed you.
Yes.
And those two old teams that are supposed to be aged out of this thing, they're not. And they both just made big deals at the trade deadline to get better. And if you were to get eliminated by either of them, I just think that would be a hard. It'd feel like you're caught in a really bad place. We're not as good as the young teams, and we're still not as good as the old teams. Where are we at right now? That is not what I want to talk about as this season concludes.
I agree.
So let's just not.
Let's just not.
Let's just hope that all of that is avoided. Before I get you out of here, I do want to talk Oscars. We have Oscars on Sunday night.
We sure do. That's this guy.
Bennett sent me a story this morning, Variety.com.
Okay.
Sounds like there's controversy.
Which
Bennett,
one are we talking about?
Is there controversy in Oscar voting, Bennett?
Yeah, basically what we're learning is some of these voters haven't even watched all the movies that are nominated for Best Picture.
It's like they need a poll tax, GP. You got to bring poll tax to the Oscars.
It's insane to me, whether it's AP voters or Oscar voters. If you take on the responsibility, nobody makes you do this. Nobody makes you do this.
No.
Nobody says this is what you must do or else you're going to prison. You were given an opportunity and you can decline it if you want to. I have no idea why you would accept responsibility to do something and then not follow through on the responsibility. In any walk of life, it's frustrating to me. Like, I am not the best at anything. But if I tell you I'm going to do something, you can rest. You can,
I'm going to do it.
Unless I just forget because I'm overwhelmed. Like, I'm going to try I'm going to try to follow. I ain't the type that tells you I'll be at work tomorrow and then I'm not at work tomorrow.
I trend towards doing it, barring something insane happening in my life.
If I tell you I'm going to do something, I feel obligated to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I expect the same in return.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
And so this is simple.
Yes.
Like, are you ready for this? Just for fun, I like to try to watch all the Oscar nominees. Yeah. And I don't have a vote. I'm not impacting this. You are really, and I know one vote, like, maybe doesn't matter, but you get enough.
It really can,
you get enough people who aren't doing the job appropriately, and now you're manipulating the results, and you're quite literally changing people's lives. Timothy Chalamet stood up Sunday night and explained to you in a pretty candid way how much it means to him to be recognized and honored for spending 5.5 years of his life, not just preparing for a role in any sort of traditional sense, but learning how to play guitar, learning how to play harmonica, learning how to sing in general, but also perform like Bob Dylan. And it matters to him. Now imagine if this is what we were to find out, because based on what Bennett sent me, this is the type of thing that could theoretically be true, even if it probably won't.
Yes.
So my favorite movie this year that was nominated is Dune Part 2. It doesn't have a chance to win Best Picture, but it's one of the nominees. And 4 anonymous Oscar voters all said they didn't watch it. And one of the quotes was, "The first Dune I couldn't get through. I'm not rushing for another 3 hours of Dune." And it's like, okay.
Now let's say
that movie has no chance, and now it's like, well, that's why it has no chance. They're not even watching the damn movie.
Let's say that there's another 11 voters out there who weren't quoted here.
Who also.
But privately, they just did not watch Timothy Chalamet play Bob Dylan. They didn't get to it. They didn't want to get to it. They hate Bob Dylan. Whatever their reason is. They got too busy. Their husband got sick. Their wife got sick. I don't know. Imagine there are 11 people out there who didn't watch the Bob Dylan movie and didn't see Timothy Chalamet. But we know if they would have watched it, they would have said that's the guy who had the best performance. But they didn't watch it, so they just decided to vote for somebody they watched, and they instead vote for Adrian Brody. And we find out that the voting came down to 2 votes. And what that would suggest, if you will follow me here, is that some people, just by being lazy in their approach, cost Timothy Chalamet an Academy Award. That is insane to me. I don't care. This is all subjective. Even Timothy Chalamet would tell you that. You can have a different opinion. That's fine. But you need to at least do the work and form your opinion after doing the work.
I wanted to find this because I read this article when it came out, and one of the other ones was multiple voters admitted to not voting for Ralph Fiennes in Conclave for Best Actor. And it really is considered a 2-man race between Timothy Chalamet and Adrian Brody. But Ralph Fiennes is a sneaky person who could sneak in there. And they admitted to not voting for Ralph Fiennes because he had already won before. The problem is, Ralph Fiennes has not voted. They both thought that he won for Schindler's List, and he didn't. He lost to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive, and coincidentally, Adrian Brody has won before for The Pianist.
Okay.
So, do your research.
So first off, there's 2 problems there. One, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
All right? And secondly, who gives a shit if he's already won? It should have no bearing on anything, should it?
No. Not at all.
What did you do in this film? How was this performance in this film relative to other performances and other nominated?
It doesn't. That's where I also get in the weeds. There are some people who are out there saying Timothy Chalamet shouldn't win because he's only 29. He's only had 1 Oscar.
That's insane.
There's this it's just like we do in sports. Does he have the battle scars to win?
It's insane.
If it's the best performance of the year, it's the best performance of the year.
I don't want to give the MVP to Nikola Jokic because he won it the past 2 years.
If it's the best season, it's the best season.
Yes.
It doesn't matter just because Leonardo DiCaprio didn't win his first Best Actor until 41, and he was nominated a bajillion times before that. Doesn't mean that the next great actor that we're watching in existence has to wait that same period of time. There should be no connectivity there.
There should be no nothing. You ready?
It's just who had the best performance. Who did you think?
It's right here. Everything's right in front of you. These are the nominees. These are their performances. This is all that I'm looking at. I don't need to know how old anybody is. I don't need to know where anybody's from. I don't need to know the history of the Academy Awards. I need to watch these films. I need to watch these performances. And then, in my opinion, as a voter, I need to say this is who I think had the best performance among the nominees. It doesn't matter if somebody's won before. It doesn't matter if somebody's 29 or 79. Just vote for who was the best.
Yes.
Why is that difficult?
I don't know. But even
how could somebody even argue against me? I'm always I'm always trying to be open-minded about, hey, I'll listen to you. If you want to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. But how would you argue against me if I said all I'm asking you to do as an Academy Award voter is watch the
Watch the
nominees'
movies.
performances. And then
It is subjective, which is
and then in
fine.
your opinion, tell me who you think had the best performance.
Right. I'm not asking you to lie. Like, nothing else should. It should just be about what you just watched. This is going to happen at the Tony Awards that you are now emotionally invested in because you saw Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard.
That's true.
But Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard is going to be going up against Audra McDonald, who has won a record 6 Tonys. Can she win her 7th? And there will be some voters out there who will either vote for her because they want her to win
That's
her
right.
7th, or won't vote for her because they think someone new should win it, when in reality it should come down to, did you like Audra McDonald as Mama Rose and Gypsy more than you liked Nicole Scherzinger as Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard?
You saw both. What do you think?
I saw both. I think Nicole Scherzinger. And if you'd asked me before, which is what you shouldn't do, because I saw both of them so that I genuinely wanted to see both of them. One, because I like to see greats in theater performing exceptional roles, and both of those are that. But I wanted to be able to actually truthfully say who I thought deserved to win, and I think Nicole Scherzinger should win.
Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
and I bet your answer is not much, barely at all.
Okay.
But I don't know, so let me ask: how much do the performances change from show to show? Does it
A
matter
little.
when you see Nicole Scherzinger?
I think it mattered when I saw Gypsy. I saw it coming out of They Were All Sick. I didn't know if I was going to be able to see Gypsy because they canceled like 5 shows in a row because they had just opened, and it's a long winding tale of like how understudies work, but these understudies have to get in the rhythm of things. If you lose half your cast opening week, it's impossible to just throw all these understudies in, let alone Audra McDonald's name is above the marquee, so it's Audra McDonald, Gypsy.
Right.
You can get your money back. If the person's name is above the marquee and they're out, you can ask for a refund on your tickets. And even she was out a couple of days ago for A Death in the Family, and the theater was half full. It was her understudy's first ever performance. Theater's half full, but usually the audience are really passionate. It's actually a cool thing. People who live in New York and love theater will seek out opportunities to see the understudies of these like big, massive names, and the community comes together. But that's beside the point. I think I saw a slightly down version of Gypsy. It was still phenomenal. Audra McDonald was phenomenal, but she was probably not at her best.
Right.
Because she had been sick. She
So I
lost her
so
voice.
I wonder-
She's like you. She was choked up.
Wow. So I wonder about that because when we watch A Complete Unknown, we all see the exact same performance. It's Timothée Chalamet on film. We all see the same thing. But you might go see Nicole Scherzinger and see the best performance
Yeah.
or her 11th best performance. And that might dictate how you would vote for such a thing. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just think people should vote for whatever the best was, whatever that
So
is.
do I.
But you're right. I do think people bring their biases into it.
Yes.
And you have the power on some level to create something. It's not strictly up to you, but you can play a role in creating a story, which is kind of a weird power to have. Let me tell you where I think it might happen. College basketball. National Player of the Year. You want to know why? You can either vote for Janai Broome, which is fine. But like Janai Broome is just going to be a Player of the Year the same way Obi Toppin was a Player of the Year. Or you can make Cooper Flagg the youngest National Player of the Year in the history of the sport. The guy who's going to go on and be the #1 pick in the draft and theoretically an NBA star. You can make that guy the National Player of the Year or Janai Broome. It's a little sexier to make the youngest Wooden Award winner ever, to create that. And I bet you some voters, if it's close, they'll just go, just give it to the freshman because it's a cooler story.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Gypsy thing. I think it could be the same thing.
Audra McDonald, or
you want her to set the record, so you're going to vote for her to set the record.
Or the alternative, she has too many, which gets to be a thing sometimes too. Like Lee Evans in the chat brought up when Cate Blanchett won, or did not win Best Actress for Tar, and I thought Cate Blanchett, I don't know about you, Bennett, but I thought that was a highway robbery of her not winning Best Actress. But I also recognize, if you ask me, who is your favorite working actress of the moment, I would tell you Cate Blanchett. So for me, I'm going to go into that movie already thinking, like, my God, aren't we lucky to be watching another piece of... I liked the Cate Blanchett show on Apple TV that everybody hated because I like watching her at work. But I think that Michelle Yeoh won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which you can make a case. I'm fine with it if you can make a case. It's subjective. Art is subjective, probably even more so than sports, where you have statistical analysis to back it up. It's not how you feel. But there is how you feel does get thrown
and sometimes
into it.
these biases trickle into that too. Like, is it accepted that Leonardo DiCaprio probably deserves an Academy Award at some point, but the film that they gave it to him for is not his best performance?
Who's nominated? Who's the woman from Conclave? Isabella
Rossellini.
Yeah, that feels like a like, oh, congrats, you finally got a nomination kind of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, 'cause
like
she's barely in the movie,
a career nomination award. She's not going to win.
She's not gonna win. Right. I think what's going to happen with I don't think Timothée Chalamet is going to win. I think what's going to happen is what happened. I think he's going to have like the Leo trajectory where he gets like he'll get one eventually, but he's not going to get one right now.
I can't speak on it.
Because you haven't watched the 3.5-hour Brutalist?
I want to try to get to it this weekend. I might take a lot of medicine and shut my mouth and just watch silently for 3.5 hours.
Good for you.
Great
yeah, dude.
vocal rest.
Yeah.
Just watch The Brutalist.
Might just watch The Brutalist quietly.
Yeah.
So I can't speak on it, but I can tell you what I want.
Yeah.
I want Timothée Chalamet to win. I loved his
And that's
speech.
my favorite thing about award shows is when I want somebody to win.
Like
that's why I
want,
watch.
I don't know. I think I'm like different. I think I'm a different kind of old person in the sense that I don't hate the next generation of music and actors and everything. Like I
agree with that. I love the next generation.
I love the next generation.
Because I don't want to be sad when all of my generation dies off. I want to have, I mean, I'll be sad, obviously, right. But I want to have like art that I'm still interested in.
Yeah, I don't understand people
that I'm
who
still
age.
interested in.
The place where this is most evident, at least in the places I go, golf course. Everybody's got a speaker in their golf cart. You'll get the point. And most people who are at the golf course look exactly like me. And they're around my age. And every one of them, they're either listening to Pearl Jam,
Bruce Springsteen,
or if it's hip hop, it's definitely Snoop Dogg, or Dr. Dre, or old Eminem stuff. And that is the music that people my age listen to largely. Is the music that they've been listening to for 20 years, 30 years, and they just go back to it. And that's if you see their Spotify rap list, it's going to say Journey, and the Eagles and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains. And and I just think, I don't care, like you listen to whatever you want, but I really love the idea that, because if your favorite artists are forever artists of your childhood, at some point you stop having new music to care about and to look forward to, because they're not making relevant music anymore. I loved Pearl Jam when I was 16. They do not make relevant music anymore.
No.
Right. I loved Paul McCartney when I was growing up. I love Paul McCartney now.
I don't need AI Beatles songs, frankly.
He does not make relevant music now. But you know who does make relevant music now?
Kendrick Lamar, Doechii, Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan.
Doechie's perfect. Like, here's a new, interesting, incredibly talented artist that if you're not willing to be exposed to new music, if you're just stuck listening to Bruce Springsteen every time you get in your car, you don't even get to experience anything new. You have no new music. Remember what it was like when you were young and it was like your favorite band had a new album coming out? Well, if you're just stuck listening to music from your childhood, that you never get that again.
Yeah.
I get that every month.
I go out of my way to try to listen, watch, whatever, new things. I'm listening to the Tate McRae album.
Right.
Do you know who Tate McRae is?
Yeah, she's on SNL Saturday night, right?
There you go. All I knew about Tate McRae is that she shakes her booty really well. She dances well.
I've seen it.
Some have called her the next Britney Spears. If you're making those pop connections, that's the one she always gets connected to. And then I was listening to her album and I was like, I kind of like this. And then I went back and listened to some old songs. And I said, I could listen to some Tate McRae. And it all came because I was listening to her on Bo and Yank's podcast.
I literally go and look at the charts and I say, okay, here's this. Who is Chappell Roan? Okay, let's listen to this. And I don't want to pretend like I'm driving around listening to Chappell Roan every day, but I'm aware of it. I want to be aware of everything. And so I am not an old person who looks at young people and be like, well, he's not Marlon Brando.
Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, well,
he's no Gene Hackman.
Yeah, no, I go, man, Timothée Chalamet, every time I see him talk, whether it's in a sit down with Kendrick Lamar or a sit down with a music critic or accepting an award on Sunday night, like I'm incredibly impressed by him. He just seems to have a really good head on his shoulders.
He also seems to do it despite, like, people like him in spite of what he is. He could be considered cringe so easily. Like, I think he could be considered a cringy person. Getting up there in front of everybody at the SAGs and saying how much you want this and how hard you worked for it, that's not the cool thing to do. But when he does it, it comes across as very true to himself, authentic.
Yes.
And there's something admirable about it. And in a similar way, like, we have two young stars, and I don't think Ariana Grande is going to win Best Supporting Actress on Sunday. I wish she would. That's who I'd be rooting for. I don't need anything from Emilia Perez to win, even though Zoe Saldana was the only redeemable piece of that entire film. But Timothée Chalamet and Ariana Grande are very similar in a sense of both have been like emphatically open about manifesting this. They're both theater kids.
Right.
Both. Timothée Chalamet, theater kid. Ariana Grande, theater kid. And they are so into their art, in love with their art. They work hard for their art. Ariana Grande, there's like video clips of her saying how much she wanted to play Glenda in Wicked from when she's a teenager.
Right.
And then the openness of what that role meant to her. I think there's a video of when John Chu calls her and says, like, you're our Glenda. She says, I'm gonna take such good care of her.
Right.
Who says that?
Right.
But now you're seeing these people pay off, and I think it's very cool. And I'm all for it. I want both of them to do
It could
great
be
things.
cringe if it were from maybe literally anybody else his age.
Yes.
But I think people know this about him, and if you didn't know it before, you do now. First off, he's got the talent.
Yes.
This is like,
You have to back it up.
and he has the work ethic to go with
Yeah.
it. So we don't mind when Victor Wembanyama says, I want to be an all-time great. We go, ooh, boy, all right.
I can't wait to watch.
I can't wait to watch
I'm
him
in
do
for
it.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't mind when John Morant says, I want to be one of the greats, right? We go, okay, he's got the talent to do it. Now let's see it happen. So why would we be offended when somebody in a different art form, but an art form, says, hey, I want this. I want this. I want everything. Kendrick Lamar said the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I deserve what I'm getting, and I want all of this, and I deserve
I'm gonna
all
put
of
in the
this.
work too. Like that picture of Kendrick went viral this week of him in a psychology class at UCLA, but it wasn't from.
It was from
right now, it was
2022.
from a few years ago. But like, who does? People of that great status will do things where you end up saying, like, who does this?
Right.
Kendrick Lamar does it.
Right.
Victor Wembanyama is reading a book at All-Star Weekend. Jokic is like, who's this guy?
Right.
Who does that? Victor Wembanyama does it. Like,
I will roll my eyes at somebody I perceive to be lacking talent or work ethic if they say things like Timothée Chalamet said the other night.
Yeah.
But when I look at him, I go,
it works.
I go, that guy has the talent to be great, because he already is, and clearly has the work ethic to be great. And that does not offend me at all. Like that I paused it and I brought my boys in there and I wanted them to watch him speak.
Yeah, I
because that's
liked
the
it.
type of message I would like for
Yeah.
them to
live
take
by.
in. Yeah, and
To
then
be
on the other
inspired
side,
by.
Mikey Madison is another young, obviously talented, and she's somebody else who, every time I watch her in an interview setting, and I've watched a bunch now, I just find her really impressive. Like, she seems like an impressive young woman with an incredible head on her shoulders. And so here it is, like, I don't know if either will win, but
I like them both.
I like them both, and I like what they represent. You know, we hear all these crazy stories about young Hollywood.
Yeah.
And here are two of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now, and I don't know either one of them. But they both seem like pretty solid, impressive individuals.
And they're turning good performances.
Yes.
Like if you like movies, like, and I know you like our
Like
movies
me.
too, but if you live for movies, you need that next generation to start showing the chops that like, hey, these are people that we can genuinely expect to be working for the next, knock on wood, fingers crossed, nothing happens to them, but in 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Like you need a lifetime achievement to go to someone in 2080.
Right.
And is that going to be Timothée Chalamet? Is that going to be Mikey Madison? It's fun to at least be able to think they're good enough now where you could foresee it happening one day.
All right,
it doesn't have to be, I don't need to disparage anyone.
All right, let's get the predictions.
Oh, God.
Let's get the predictions. Bennett, you go first.
Okay.
Best picture, best actor, and best, do we say actress or has that been canceled? What do we say?
Okay.
Best actress.
Do we say best actress?
Yeah, we say no. We can say
about?
best actress.
Well, at some point-
they're actors, but the category is best actress.
Okay,
You're right. Yeah.
you never know. You never know.
That was good.
That was a thing
good.
for a
That was
minute.
good. That was good.
You never know.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you just outwoke me? Have I been outwoked?
You have.
I
Yes.
just got to be careful. You just got to be careful. You're
I hope
running
the
around
people
saying
remember.
actress. People are
I
probably.
hope the people remember.
Okay.
I get it wrong too sometimes.
All right. Best picture. That's a hard. I'm gonna go with Nora. Best actor. I'm gonna go Adrian Brody. Best actress. I'm gonna go Mikey Madison.
Best movie, Honora. Best actor, Timothée Chalamet. Best actress, Mikey Madison.
I'm right with you. I haven't seen everything, but based on what I've seen, best film, Nora. Best actress, Mikey Madison. Best actor, Timothée Chalamet.
And don't get it twisted. I want Timothy to win. That's who I want to win. I just don't think he's going to.
And I actually want. Honora is my favorite movie of the year, so it's easy for me to say that. Sometimes your favorite movie is not the front runner. Wicked is my favorite movie of the year. Nor is my second favorite movie of the year, but the most critically acclaimed movie at this point. Like, I would not be mad if Demi Moore won, but I just look at, the more I think about The Substance, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Bennett, but like, she's only in half the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it's kind of bizarre. Mikey Madison's in every single scene of
the
Anora.
last like 10, 15 minutes of the movie is all,
it's all Margaret Qualley. Yeah.
I liked Demi Moore having that moment.
And she's had many.
Was it the Golden Globes where she had that moment in the big speech?
That's where she went from being the dark horse to.
I loved her having that moment. But Demi Moore reminds me a little bit of St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament a few years ago. I love that they got that moment, but it needs to stop.
She's a peacock.
It needs to stop. She's a peacock. It needs to stop. It was nice that you had that moment.
What was that guy's name?
But now it's time to be over.
What, the kid with the mustache.
I can't. Oh, I forget. Mike.
Oh, that's really going to bother me.
Who are we talking about? From what?
I'm glad Demi Moore got that moment. I don't think she deserved the Golden Globe, but I'm glad she won it because she got to have that moment and deliver that speech.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't need her to have an Oscar moment.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she deserves it. I say that respectfully.
Damn.
I say it respectfully, but I don't think she deserves it.
It was Doug.
Doug.
It was Doug Edert.
Doug Edert.
Doug Edert.
Doug Edert.
He was our player of the moment.
Doug Edert, March Madness legend.
I think she deserves it. I think you can make a case for either of them. But if I was a voter, I'd give it to Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
And I would feel confident in that vote.
If you give it to Demi Moore, it will not age well. Even though she's aged well. Do you think Demi Moore's aged well?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Hell yeah, she looks good.
Okay, Bennett, calm down.
Well, I think she's
Bennett.
aged well looks-wise.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's a very inspiring thing to see two actresses who have been on the award circuit who have aged in a way where they have allowed age to happen. And Demi Moore, like, I'm not gonna, both of them have had work done, but like what Pamela Anderson does at every award show by showing up with little to no makeup, and I hate when they say she has no makeup, like she has foundation. Like there's stuff there, but by the most part, she looks as if she's not wearing makeup. That's so big to see. Like you take one of the largest sex symbols of like my lifetime, of our lifetime, and now she's showing up proud in her, I think she's in her 50s, with no makeup on at these award shows, trying to be and she tried to be a serious actress in The Last Showgirl, just like Demi Moore is trying to once again prove that she can be a serious actress and be rewarded for those things. That's a very cool turnaround that I don't think anyone really expected for either of those women.
If you'd have taken me back to the 90s, I would not have expected this version of Pamela Anderson would exist.
No.
I don't know what I would have expected, but
she's so thoughtful.
Yeah, she seems great, right?
Yeah.
And she's had an incredible, like a weird life. Just a weird life.
Yes.
Just the weirdest life.
Yes.
By the way, don't be shocked if Conclave wins Best Picture. I'm throwing that out there.
Don't be shocked if Fernando wins Best Actress.
That could happen too. She could shock the world.
Hey, we'll all watch it on Sunday night, and then I'm sure we'll discuss it on Monday.
Wait.
I can't wait.
I love it. I'm gonna have a party.
We're having a party.
And by party, I mean party of two.
We're having a party of two as well.
Yeah, but we're okay. Do you still call it a party?
We're having a
party. We're calling
it
an Oscars party, but we don't want to invite anyone. We're tired.
If you get food and everyone gathers around the TV, it's a party.
Even if it's two. As long as there's one other, I don't know, even if it's by yourself. You can have a party.
You can
have
an Oscars party by yourself, absolutely.
I have parties by myself all the time.
Me too.
I'm sure you do. You should have one this weekend where you don't talk to anybody.
I'm considering it.
Okay.
I'm considering it. All right, I'm sure you got some dogs to walk.
Oh, I sure do. It's a beautiful day to walk the dogs.
It really is nice outside. So you enjoy your day, you enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday.
Bye.
Bye-bye. When we come back, turn our attention to the NFL. Travis Kelce, he's made it official. He's going to return to the Kansas City Chiefs for at least one more year. I'll give you the quotes. We'll do that next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either, and that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's OrthoSouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
It's official. Travis Kelce has made it official. He is not retiring. He is returning to the Kansas City Chiefs for at least one more season. Ben, are you surprised to get this news? Just A, in general, but B, via Pat McAfee in the middle of Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, I thought it would take a while before we would find out. I didn't think he'd announce it this soon.
Well, the Chiefs had indicated, or at least there had been reports suggesting the Chiefs were obviously going to let Travis make his own decision with plenty of time, but would really love it if he made it sooner rather than later, because we're assuming you're coming back. But if you're not, we got a plan for that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
It's helpful, I think, for all parties involved to just go ahead and get the questions put to bed. And then it did come in the same week where the Chiefs GM was at the Combine and very publicly talking about the future of Travis Kelce, and didn't say anything definitively, but was just like, I don't know what to tell you, but we are operating as if he's coming back.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the first real indication that he's probably coming back, because if you are the Chiefs GM and you're not confident in that, you just stay away from the topic altogether, don't you?
Yeah, and I think it's difficult. If they wouldn't have made it to the Super Bowl, maybe his decision could go a different way. I think when you're right there again and you've beaten that team before in a Super Bowl, I think it's hard to walk away just because, dude, let's just run this back. Like, we can get back to the same exact game and maybe the result is completely different than this past Super Bowl.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand it. I will not criticize it because I do my best not to criticize other people for making career choices or personal big life choices, because we all have to make those decisions at certain points, and what matters to me might not matter to you, might not matter to Travis Kelce, so on and so forth. So he should do what he wants to do, and I'm assuming that he is. The quote is, "I'm coming back for sure. Going to try to get into the best shape I've been in this offseason and get back to the mountaintop. Got a real bad taste in my mouth with how I played in that last game and with how I got the guys ready for battle. I can't go out like that! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So I understand all of those feelings. I can't go out like that. That can't be the last time I ever step on a football field. Not only did we lose, but I didn't play well. Not only did we lose and I didn't play well, but with the benefit of hindsight, I don't think I was ready to play. I don't think I got my guys ready to battle. These are his words, not mine. I understand all those feelings. If I had to do it all over again, I would have done this differently. I would have done that differently. And in theory, I do have a chance to do it all over again. It's up to me. And so I'm going to take that opportunity and try to go do it all over again and do it differently and make it end differently. I understand every one of those feelings. Those are the most normal feelings in the world. That's the way I think most of us would feel. The problem is, I've talked to enough professional athletes to know, retired people, it almost never ends the way you want it to. And if you are forever chasing the perfect ending or forever running from that bad taste in your mouth, you're just running forever. You're probably going to end up just disappointing yourself. I would have much rather seen a quote from Travis Kelce that said, I'm a football player. It's what I've been doing my whole life. I know it's not what I will do my whole life, but it's what I'm still doing because I cannot imagine not playing football next season. I can't even comprehend not playing football next season. I wish we had practice today. I'll be at the facility today. I wish the season was starting tomorrow. I cannot wait to get out there. But that's not what he said. He just said he wants to change the ending. Can't go out like that. And what I've been told by enough professional athletes to believe it is that if your motivation is to change the ending more than it is to just do the job, you might be setting yourself up for an even worse ending. Because what if you think this is the bad taste in your mouth? Losing in the Super Bowl after winning an AFC championship? That's the bad taste in your mouth? Tell me how this tastes. You lose in the first round of the playoffs next season after struggling through the regular season with various injuries and stuff. Then you go into the first round of the playoffs and you catch 2 balls, drop 2 balls, and lose 31-17. Now what? How's that taste? That's probably even worse than the one before, right? It is much more likely that he will have a worse taste in his mouth, for lack of a better phrase, at the end of next season than he had at this one. And so if you're chasing that, you're chasing something you're probably not going to get. But again, it's up to him. It's not my life. I just have never gotten that out of my head. I'm sure Tom Brady would have wanted his football career to end differently than it did. I bet you Michael Jordan wanted his basketball career to end differently than it did. They usually don't end with a good taste in your mouth. Sometimes, but not usually. And if you're Travis Kelce, I'll be rooting for it, but I'd be skeptical of it. Do I think he'll be holding a Super Bowl trophy at the end of next season and then able to walk away with a great taste in his mouth? Maybe. But, buddy, you got to go through a lot of stuff to even get back in that position, to have a chance to do that. And that's why the reasonable bet would probably be to just bet against it.
Number 2.
Big night in the NBA last night. Steph Curry. My God. Do you see what he did?
Yeah, that's concerning.
He made 12.
That's concerning.
He made 12 three-pointers. 16 of 25 from the field, 12 of 19 from 3. He got 56 points in a 121-115 win in Orlando. And now the Warriors are 7-1 since they got Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. Is this a real... Hey, 2 months ago, we weren't worried about the Warriors as a threat in the West. We're worried about the Thunder, maybe the Rockets. Are the Warriors now on your radar? Are you worried about them, Bennett?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to play them in the first round. I do not. I think I still think we match up well with them. Like I think we could win that series. But I mean, you can't argue with what they've done since Jimmy's been there. And he's just kind of seamlessly fit in with them. That was a pretty great landing spot for him.
He's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's doing what he does.
Yeah.
Making an immediate impact. Eventually, he'll get into his feelings again, and they'll have the same problems that every other franchise that has employed him have.
Yeah.
Probably. That's the track record at least. But while the getting's good, it's good. Like when you're in the good Jimmy Butler business, it's a good business to be in. It's a fun business to be in.
Yep.
And even if it ends badly, here's the truth. Even if the Jimmy Butler thing ends badly at Golden State, you had to do it because you get this. You at least get this.
Yep, that's right.
Like this has shocked hope back into your franchise that you're not wasting the final years of Steph Curry's career. This is how quickly and dramatically all of this can change. A couple of months ago, it's like they're just wasting Steph Curry's final good years. And if he doesn't ask for a trade, then he's just going to finish career on mediocre teams in San Francisco.
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff they'd wake up and talk about on ESPN. Should Steph ask for a trade or just be content to waste away his final great years in San Francisco? Well, now look, the exact same show this morning is probably talking about them as contenders because they're 7-1 since they added Jimmy Butler. So I was concerned when the Grizzlies were in those conversations about the long-term stuff with this franchise and Jimmy Butler and why I didn't want to get involved in the Jimmy Butler business. Not in Memphis, but in San Francisco? Yes. What were your options? To be a mediocre Steph Curry, Draymond Green team or take a shot at it?
Right.
They took a shot. So far it's working. I don't know where it'll go, but they're 7-1 through 8 games with Jimmy Butler, and Steph went monster night last night.
Number 3.
Anthony Edwards got another technical foul last night. 2 more. Ejected. He's now facing a suspension unless one of the techs is rescinded. And this was a weird thing because it happened on the road at Crypto.com Arena. And the Lakers fans even booed the official's decision. Because
I didn't realize that.
They paid hard money.
That's right, dude.
You know, to come out and see
I'm not a fan of ejecting guys unless it's like just outrageous.
And this was not.
No.
This was not outrageous. Even Lakers fans were like, we came to see, sure, Luka, LeBron, all that. But Anthony Edwards, too. Like, he's the star of a Netflix documentary that is doing big numbers. He's in town. Let's go see him. And then, boom, he's out of the game. Now, his coach afterward, I'm sorry, I got to cough at some point. His coach afterward said, listen, he's got to be better. Chris Finch, he's had too many outbursts this season, and we've got to rein that in a little bit. Some of it is warranted, but some of this is on Anthony Edwards too. Like every press conference, he's saying something that gets him fined, which maybe should lead to a conversation where we start talking about, do we really need to be fining players for cursing in press conferences?
That's interesting because, well, LaMelo does it a lot too.
Right. But like, if you go ask the officials, because they sent a poll reporter last night to talk to the officials, why did you eliminate Anthony Edwards from the game? You know what they said? He used profanity, directed at official. At what point, as a society, do we get to a point where this is the way normal people talk? All right? This is the way normal people speak. You turn on a television, and there's 4 of us sitting at a desk 2 nights ago on CBS Sports Network, and we are talking. We're doing a 30-minute television show, and we are not using any words that as soon as those cameras go off, we will use those words. We'll be like, did you see that stupid effing foul? Or what is this dumb A doing? These are the way normal people talk. And yet we hold NBA players and we say, but you can't talk like that.
It reminds me a little bit of WWE in a way because they once upon a time made a decision like, are we going to be, a show for, older kids and adults? Or are we going to be a show like a family kind of show? Like, is everybody going to be able to watch this? and they they cleaned up their product a little bit. Like it's they quit flashing the camera.
I got all that.
Yeah.
I think there's a line between flashing cameras and I'm just saying words.
Yeah, I got you.
With my own children, here's where I'm at with my own children. They hear cuss words every day.
Mm-hmm.
They hear them from their father. They hear them from their mother. They hear them from their friends at school. They see them on TV. They're all over YouTube. This is the way they talk. So in terms of music, like stuff they listen to, like it's sort of understood, in my household at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously I don't want you going to school and yelling the F word and the saying shit and whatever. But like there's one word I don't want you ever saying that I know you hear all the time in music.
Mm-hmm.
You're not saying that word under any circumstances, whether you're rapping along or not. But I'm like, all these other words, I don't want them saying them, but like, they're exposed to them every day. Every day. And so when are we as a society going to stop pretending that they're not? Like if our kid hears the word shit,
mm-hmm.
it's like the worst thing in the world. Because you ready for this? If your kid has a PlayStation or an iPad or friends,
mm-hmm.
they're hearing those words all day long, every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the interviews and stuff, I mean, those networks clearly have guidelines they have to follow. So
but when will they be adjusted? Right now on CBS, you can't go on television and say certain words. Kendrick Lamar just had to edit an entire performance. And I think everybody agrees, yeah, there's a couple of words you can't say, but like he has to edit every word.
Yep.
When are we going to get to the point where we don't have to edit every word? That like, hey, if you could turn on a basketball game and hear a player say a normal cuss word, turn on a television show on NBC and see an actor say a normal cuss word, and we don't even blink because this is the way most Americans talk. This is the way most Americans speak. We do use these words. In our everyday life, the overwhelming majority of Americans use what we refer to as curse words. When will we get to a point where we just acknowledge it's not the worst thing in the world?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's obviously way more common than it ever has been before.
That's right.
I don't know, man. I don't know where I would draw the line on the whole thing. I mean, I think that because I saw Stephen A. Smith on this morning. There was a quote from LeBron saying that Ant's like maybe the next face of the league or something like that, and Stephen A. Smith took issue with it. I do think there is some. Again, I'm not trying to sound like a square here. I'm not, because I don't give a crap. Like I don't care at all. They can say whatever words they want and cuss as much as they want. It doesn't bother me one bit. Okay. But I do think if the responsibility of being one of the faces of the league is going to be put on your shoulders, I do think you have to be a little more cognizant of that stuff. I just do, because again, you got 5-year-olds that are buying your jerseys and watching you play and holding on to your every word. Yeah, I think there is a little responsibility there.
And there might be a breakdown here. I recognize I perhaps just have a distorted view of this, right? But this is my view.
Mm-hmm.
I am very much a believer in do as I say, not as I do, as it pertains to being an adult around children. Because this is what another adult might say. If I were having this conversation with somebody else, they'd say, okay, GP, that's fine. I know you don't mind hearing Anthony Edwards say a cuss word here or there, but like kids are watching this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want your kids hearing these words and then running around and saying those words? And I'd say, I don't want my kids running around saying those words. But I don't mind my kids hearing those words because those are normal words.
Right.
And you know what I can tell my kids? Anthony Edwards is a grown man. And when you're a grown man, you can say those words if you want to.
And it's not his job to raise your kids.
But right now, you're 8 years old.
Right.
So you can't say those words. And let's just add it to the already long list of things we tell kids they can't do that we do. You ready? Because this is where this is the argument. People say, well, if you cuss around kids, then all that just shows them they can cuss.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't. Because we have these lines that we draw between kids and adults all the time. Bennett, you can put a dip in if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And still, if you catch your son with a can of dip, say you can't have that. Just because I have this doesn't mean you can. I can open a beer in my house, but if my 8-year-old does, and he will, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I can say words, but if he says them, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I can drive a car. My kids, here's where it logically falls apart for me. But if your kids are exposed to all this cussing, then they'll just cussing. My kids are exposed to all this driving. They watch their dad drive every day. They also know they can't drive. Just because you see your dad do something doesn't mean you're allowed to do it. You're a kid. Just because you see Anthony Edwards say something doesn't mean you're allowed to say it. You're a kid. But I don't feel like we need to be censoring our entire society in ways that no longer make sense in 2025. This is the way we talk to each other. The way Anthony Edwards talked to that official is the way you and I talk to each other when we're just talking.
And I think when we're talking about like the official stuff, I totally agree with you there because, like you said, that's just how people talk in real life.
It's just how people talk in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you're like on a camera doing a walk-off interview, maybe you need to be a little more buttoned up.
But it is getting to a point where you see Anthony Edwards cuss, and you're like, okay, if he's cussing, then now LaMelo cusses, and now the whole world's cussing. I'm just telling you, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. And there will be a point where it's perfectly acceptable for Anthony Edwards or any other NBA player to say traditional curse words in post-game interviews. It'll be the most normal thing. You won't even notice when they do it. We will get to that point someday. I just don't know why we're not already there. Not the biggest deal in the world. Certainly not worth all the time we've spent on it. But it is just something that popped into my head. Zion Williamson.
He's back.
Got a triple-double last night in the Pelicans win. And do you want to know the craziest thing about Zion Williamson's triple-double last night? It was his first career triple-double. Think about that.
That's pretty wild. I mean,
if
that's
I
not
would have
that wild.
told you, it is
the 11 assists. I mean, that's that's not that wild.
Okay, if I would have told you on the night that Zion Williamson was drafted, which by the way was in the 2019 NBA draft, it was basically 6 years ago. If I would have told you on that night, this phenomenon that you just watched at Duke, who is so clearly going to be the number one pick in the draft, and just had one of the greatest, I'm not exaggerating, greatest college basketball seasons of all time. I believe Zion has the highest PER of all time, of any college basketball player in modern history. If I would have told you on that night, the Pelicans just took Zion Williamson, Bennett. And he will have his first career double on February 27th, 2025. You would have thought that's crazy.
Maybe so.
Just if you're that talented.
If you're that good, yeah.
You're just going to get one.
Walk into it. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. By the way, I think it's probably time to admit that fat shaming works.
Oh, I think fat shaming works.
Look at Zion and look at Luka. They both look incredible right now.
Luka looks 10 pounds lighter.
They got fat shamed, and they both look like two of the most fit dudes in the league.
Well, this is going to be I understand what Dallas was trying to do. Like trade Luka Doncic, and then the whole world calls you an idiot. So then you have to explain via sources why you traded Luka Doncic, and the reason is because you think he's fat and lazy. The problem, of course, is like you just broke up. I'll put this in real people terms. You're a girl who just broke up with a guy, and on the way out you said, and you're fat and lazy, you let yourself go. Or your guy just broke up with a girl, and it's like, and you're fat and lazy, you let yourself go. Or your girl broke up with a girl, guy broke up with a guy, or any other combination you can think of. All right? You know what's happening next. The next time you see that person, oh, buddy.
They're going to look amazing.
They've been in the gym. They've got abs. Dude. Opening night next season, please make it. Please, NBA. Lakers at Mavericks. We're taking Luka back to Dallas.
Okay.
And he will be in the best shape of his life. Dude. It'll be Charles and Kenny live at the American Airlines Center. And here's what they'll say. And look at Luka Doncic. He looks better than he's ever looked. He will be in the best shape of his life to start next season. And the Mavericks will spend the next decade watching a generational talent in great shape relative to what he's been.
Yeah, man.
Be awesome in Los Angeles. It's one thing to kick somebody out because you don't believe in them. It's another thing to call them a fatty on the way out because they get in a gym membership. Just as soon as they dry their eyes and get over the heartbreak, they get in a membership. I remember the first time I got dumped. Like, first real time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, buddy.
You hit the gym?
No, I couldn't afford a gym membership.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
But I'd just go to tennis courts, and I would just run my fat ass around the tennis courts. Every day.
You couldn't find a track?
I was living in an apartment complex.
Tennis court.
I was living in an apartment complex, and they had tennis courts outside.
Okay.
And I would just go out there every day, and I would just run around the tennis courts. And when I went back to college, I didn't see anybody from college the entire summer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back to college to join the journalism department, see all my old friends that I was around every day last year.
Yep.
Do you know when I walked in, they didn't even recognize me?
How about that?
I lost.
You were basically Luka.
I'm telling you, I've been through this.
Yeah, you were basically
I know
Luka.
what it's like to be told you ain't good enough.
Yeah.
I was told that straight to my face. And you know what? She was probably right. But the point is, it motivated me. And I was out there sweating on tennis courts. And, I'm just saying there's nothing. Being fat shamed works. I'm not saying we should fat shame, Bennett. I don't think we should fat shame. I'm not for body shaming. I don't think you're for body shaming either. That's not what you're suggesting.
I'm definitely not.
I don't think we should body shame. But if you ever want to see somebody get in shape, break up with them and call them fat. That'll do it.
Yeah.
That's what Nico Harrison did to Luka. And now look. And that's what the whole world did to Zion.
Yep.
And now he's looking better, and he's got the first triple-double of his career. I was happy for him. I was happy for him.
Number 5.
Battle of the Bones. It's all set. UAB did not disappoint last night.
I told you I was rooting for him. We're not running. I'm not running. I wanted this.
This is what I wanted too.
I wanted this.
Battle for the Bones.
No, we're not running from it, dude. Listen, we've been, we as in us, the Tigers haven't,
Sure.
but we've been talking shit about this conference all season long.
That's right.
And why we're carrying it. And it's shameful that we have to be with these scrubs and play against them every single week.
That's right.
Now we have a moment. Where one of the scrubs, the one that we hate, they're in this. And they're ready to win a conference championship. And you got to go to their place and you got to shut them up. I didn't want them to lose to Wichita State last night. I wanted this. I wanted them to be in this position because I want us to go and ruin their season.
Andy Kennedy popped on Twitter last night.
What'd he say? I know because he was mad after that last game.
They want to fill Bartow Arena up.
They want to fill out Bartow? Okay.
They want to fill up Bartow Arena.
All right, just don't let that dude with the overalls in. He's not invited back. The one that Pierre slapped. He's not allowed back.
They should bring him back. They actually should bring him back.
Mascot for the game.
They should bring him back.
What's he up to?
Oh, buddy.
What's that dude doing?
What do you think that guy's doing right now?
I bet he's got time. He could do it.
What do you think that guy is doing right now?
I really don't know. I
bet he's
still in Birmingham.
I bet he's got him a dump truck.
Yeah, he's definitely got a four-wheeler. There's no question.
I bet he moves dirt around.
There is no doubt he owns a four-wheeler. There is a 99.9% chance he owns a four-wheeler.
100% chance he owns a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
I bet he moves dirt.
I bet he moves.
You know anybody who moves dirt?
I know some people that move dirt. Yeah.
Do you know how lucrative that is? Moving dirt around.
I'd love to.
It's incredible. Like I've
always wanted to operate a crane, or what are they called? The
bulldozer.
Yeah, but the ones that scoop the dirt.
I call them scoopers.
Why can't I think of the name of that?
Excavators.
What the hell's the thing that scoops?
That's an excavator.
Why can't I think
it's
of
an
that?
excavator.
Of all people, I should know what that is.
That's an excavator. I think that's an excavator, Bennett.
Okay.
Here's what I'm trying to tell you. I grew up with these guys. And, every once in a while you start to feel like, hey, man, I did okay for myself. All things considered.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. I've done okay for myself. But then there's these fellas I grew up with, and you never knew where their life was headed.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing you ever saw them do your whole life was drink Busch Light.
Yeah.
If you saw them when they were 11, they were drinking Busch Light. You saw them when they were 14, they were drinking Busch Light. You saw them when they were 19, they were drinking Busch Light. You never knew where it was going, but you knew they were going to have a Busch Light in their hand, right? These fellas. And you bump into them every once in a while, gas station or something, and be like, hey, how you been? What are you up to? And then there's some story about moving dirt. And they own 70 dump trucks and they're worth $40,000 million.
Mm-hmm.
Moving dirt, man.
Lucrative business.
How do you get into it?
I don't know. I don't know how you get involved in that. I'd like to find out.
I got some buddies, man. It's just interesting.
I bet he moves dirt, too.
I know this guy.
I bet he moves some dirt.
That dude at Pierre Sled. I know he moves dirt. It's just interesting. You see some of the people that you grew up with, and they just created like a dirt moving business. Mm-hmm. And they got generational wealth now.
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
That's good stuff.
If I don't start talking better, I'm going to need to...
You're doing good. These latter part of 5 more things has gone well.
If I don't start talking better, I might need to get in the dirt moving business.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to do it, but I'm going to try to get involved.
It goes without saying the Tigers have to play better than they did the other night to win this game. UAB looks good. Like they do. They have looked really good. I've seen them play a few times. They look good. It's not going to be easy.
Blazers against Tigers, battle for the bones.
Yeah, it's not really the battle for the bones.
It's battle for the bones.
That's football, dude. We don't have a bones trophy in basketball.
I will make a bones trophy.
Should we have one? Yes. We absolutely should. Will I always call it the battle of the bones? Yes.
Yes.
But I don't think there's a trophy. I don't think we have one for that.
You realize Memphis has been the best team in this league all year. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about Memphis winning this league all year. You lose Sunday in Birmingham. UAB's 13-3 in the league. You're also 13-3 in the league. And keep an eye on North Texas because they'll mess around and
blasted FAU last night.
They're gonna mess around and try to give this Coach of the Year award to Ross Hodge.
Don't do it. Come on, Penny. And Penny talked about it this week. He wants that. I mean, obviously so. He hasn't won it outright in the regular season
when
yet.
You start your college career, coaching career, with everybody calling you an AAU coach, dismissively calling you an AAU coach.
Yeah.
You would like to then be able to turn around and say, maybe, but I'm also the AAC Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
I'm also my conference's Coach of the Year. I'm not surprised he wants it. He should.
Yeah.
I want it for him. He deserves it. But you better win the league.
Yeah.
Because they already showed you, the voters, the same people who vote on that voted on the preseason poll.
That's right, and they didn't pick you. That's right.
They already told you they'd be happy to give it to an Andy Kennedy or a Ross Hodge.
They picked that team.
It's a big game on Sunday because all of this stuff is in play. All of this stuff is in play. If we were voting right now, just asking for predictions right now, who's going to win the AAC? I'd say Memphis.
Yep.
Who's going to be the AAC Coach of the Year? I'd say Penny Hardaway. Who's going to be the AAC Player of the Year? I'd say PJ Haggerty. All of those answers could change on Sunday. Least likely of the three, the PJ Haggerty one.
Right.
I just think
Who are you going to give it to, Yaxel?
That's what they'll try to do.
You trying to give it to Yaxel?
I'm not, but they will. I'm not.
Don't you dare. We need you, Dane. We need you, Dane.
I think PJ
Shut him up.
I think PJ Haggerty is less at risk of losing his grip on the AAC Player of the Year award. But Penny's grip on the AAC Coach of the Year award, yeah, that could slip away. And Memphis's grip on first place in the AAC standings, that could obviously slip away. They would be tied for first in the AAC as opposed to alone in first in the AAC if they lose on Sunday. So it really is. Big game. Huge game.
I'm fired up.
I'm fired up.
I did not think we would have this moment in this conference schedule. I didn't. So I'm really pumped about it.
You ready? You wouldn't have this moment if you beat Temple.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, that's true.
So you sort of created this moment. You sort of created this moment.
All right,
you wouldn't have this moment if you beat,
Whatever.
But, whatever. Can't do nothing about that now. Just got to go down to Birmingham and win the battle for the bones. Be back with GP's carryout.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing at FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Bain drives.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead.
Yeah!
Jaren with a knockaway.
Good defense.
Durant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
That's no show. Let's go.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built Ford Tough Studio. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on your Memphis Grizzlies in the opening hour because you got a big game tonight inside FedEx Forum, 7 o'clock tip. The Knicks are in town. Both teams enter with 38-20 records. Grizz alone in second in the Western Conference standings. Knicks alone in third in the Eastern Conference standings. As we talked about earlier, kind of similar situations. Obviously good teams. Obviously great records. But are the teams good enough on either side, either the Grizzlies or Knicks, to compete with the teams they're looking up at in the standings? This is a conversation we've been having in Memphis. Because despite the great record that is second best in the West, the truth is the Grizzlies have been great against bad teams and not so great against good teams. Knicks, similar. They're 0-5 this season against the Cavs and the Celtics. 3 of their past 4 losses are double-digit losses to the Cavs and the Celtics. 2 of those 3 losses are by 27 or more points. And so a lot of the conversations we're having in Memphis right now, they're also having in New York. Fun team, good team, great record. But are we good enough to do what we talk about doing, to do what we want to do? Both franchises are asking that question, and it's a totally reasonable question. Now they get to test themselves against each other. Last time they played, it was in New York. It did not go well for the Grizzlies. Tonight, different set of circumstances. Grizzlies injury report, status report looks better than the Knicks. We'll find out who's truly available a little closer to tip-off. But the Grizz are favorites tonight at home. Again, 7 o'clock tip. Should be a fun night in downtown Memphis. Tickets available, Grizzlies.com.
What's today's biggest game?
I'm going to take you to the Eastern Conference. 6:30 tip on ESPN. Cavaliers and Celtics, 2 best teams in the East. It's a good one. Cleveland enters 48-10. Boston 42-17. We're doing it at TD Garden. Celtics are 2.5-point favorites. Totals 233.5. How are you going to act?
Give me the Cavs.
On the road?
I don't know why. Celtics already beat them this year. They went into Cleveland and beat them not too long ago. I don't know. I just feel like, we just saw that team. I think they're really good, man. I don't know why. I have no explanation. I'm just going to go Cleveland here.
Then it is going Cavaliers with no explanation. It's a special no explanation pick from Bennett Doyle. Taking Cleveland minus the 2.5.
Plus
the 2.5. Cavs plus 2.5 on the road.
What are we watching on TV?
Got SmackDown tonight.
What's going on? It's stale.
Well, it's Elimination Chambers tomorrow.
Oh, it's the go home
So it's
show.
one of those.
Oh, this is stale.
It's one of those.
Is stale.
Can I interest you in an LA night against
No, you may not.
Shinsuke Nakamura?
No, I'm good. But I will be. I'm going to be here tomorrow night. But you best believe I'm gonna have Elimination Chamber pulled up right in front of me, as long as it doesn't piss Eric off.
What do we assume? John Cena wins? Here's what my wrestling buddies told me. John Cena wins Elimination Chamber. Fights Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes turns heel. Cena's the face of everything.
Yeah.
He wins his record title and then loses it to whoever at some point. But John Cena takes the championship from Cody Rhodes and by extension becomes the winningest title holder in the history of WWE. Does that do it for you?
I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that they're going to put Cena in a title match at WrestleMania. I just think I've stood on that for a while now.
Here's the thing with Cena, because obviously he's a big deal, right? You can just tell when he walks out.
Oh, yeah.
The way it pops, he's a big deal.
That's right.
This is that gap in wrestling where I just wasn't involved.
Mm-hmm. The ruthless aggression era.
I have no context for John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I was not watching wrestling when he entered the sport. I was not watching wrestling when he became the biggest thing in the sport. The only thing I know of John Cena is since I started watching wrestling, basically during the pandemic with my kids. And all I see is a kind of corny, balding old guy.
I think, too,
I'm not interested in it.
I think that match, if that's like the real main event, that Cody Rhodes match, which I think we assume it's probably going to be, depending on what happens with The Rock and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think it's going to be Cena or The Rock versus Cody, because you want like a great match, and I'm not sure that either of those guys can give you like a long drawn out match just one-on-one.
Here's another issue. This is what my wrestling buddies tell me. I have wrestling buddies now. I don't know if you know that, but I have some wrestling buddies.
Yeah, I got some too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we could connect them.
Okay.
Here's what my wrestling buddies told me. They said that they're already locked into Jey Uso in one of the main events.
Yep.
And here's what my wrestling buddies told me.
What?
That's a problem. Ticket sales and everything else. Because Jey Uso, although he is he can get FedEx Forum yeeting, he's not really the star that you need to be in a main event at WrestleMania. Do you buy that? I don't know if that's true or not, but that is what my wrestling buddies told me.
I think because it's 2 nights, right? It's 2-night show, Saturday, Sunday, and then how we usually do WrestleMania now. It's 2 nights.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you, because they probably, I would assume a lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to buy tickets to Sunday if it's going to be Jay and Gunther in the Saturday main event. I could see that.
Like, is Jay and Gunther headlining Saturday night of WrestleMania? Like, does that move a needle for you?
No.
Something else crazy has to happen.
Yeah, something else crazy has to happen. You're right. I'm excited. I love Elimination Chamber. I think it's underrated. I love the Chamber. I love the gimmick.
I'm ready.
I love the gimmick.
I'm ready. I'll watch SmackDown tonight. I'll watch Elimination Chamber tomorrow night, and then we'll come back here on Monday and we'll celebrate it.
Yep.
Or criticize it. One of the two.
No, never.
What's the best thing we've read?
Well, interesting night in the sport. One night after Michigan State won at the buzzer to improve to 14-3 in the Big Ten, Michigan last night wins at the buzzer to improve to 14-3 in the Big Ten. So on back-to-back nights, the two teams that are tied for first in the Big Ten standings won on buzzer-beating three-pointers, and they closed the regular season against each other a week from Sunday on CBS, America's most watched network, the Network Stars. So this really could be headed for just a massive final day of the regular season. Just think about this. We could have, that weekend's always fun. There's always big games, but you could have Michigan against Michigan State on CBS, outright Big Ten title up for grabs, because both of those teams will be favored to win each of their next 2 games. So if things go as planned, this time next week, both should be 16-3 in the Big Ten 1 game left against each other at the Breslin Center. Either Dusty May wins his first outright Big Ten title, or Tom Izzo wins his 11th, which would tie him with 2 other men. One of them is Bob Knight for the most of all time. I wrote about all that. You can read it. The top 25 and 1 posted right now at CBSSports.com.
What's on tap next week?
First things first, I got a text from Chris Vernon.
What's up?
He said I'm not allowed in the big studio.
Good. I was hoping he'd give you the day off.
He didn't say I'm not allowed. He was being kind. He said,
yes,
buddy, go home and rest.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So I will not be on the Chris Vernon show.
So this is a PSA. I need everyone, no one call or talk to GP for the next 48 hours. No phone calls and no one-on-one conversation. Maybe a text. Maybe a get well soon text.
Kyra says I need vocal rest.
Well, you need vocal rest.
Here's the problem.
Rent the Brutalist.
Yeah.
It's 3.5 hours.
That's right.
Sit there, be quiet, turn out all the lights, drink that stuff.
So far, you're describing my favorite day.
And then just
turn
watch
out all the lights and drink stuff.
I'm telling you,
that's all I want to do.
It's going to help.
That's all I want to do today is turn out all the lights and drink stuff. All right? So, buddy, challenge accepted.
Good.
Challenge accepted. I do have 3 CBS Sports HQ hits to do.
Oh, God.
I keep wondering. I keep going. They're gonna
say no.
They're at some point. They did send me home one night a few years ago.
Yeah.
In the middle of COVID.
Yeah. That's because they thought you had COVID.
Yes, but we had to test every day.
Right.
We would walk into. We had our own testing at the broadcast center. You'd walk into the broadcast center and immediately go get tested, and it was an Insta test. We had to test every day.
Yeah.
There was a day. Tell me how crazy this is. There was a day where on Sunday, my kids were playing at our neighbor's house all day long, both my little guys. Mm-hmm. They were over at our neighbor's house.
Gotcha.
The dad popped positive on Monday morning. All right? My kids were around him all day Sunday. Mm-hmm. Brad Carson took me to the airport on Monday. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason. Probably was running late, and he was like, I'll take you. Mm-hmm. He popped positive on that Tuesday. By the time I landed in New York, my little guy Louie had popped positive, tested positive for COVID. And I never forget calling him. I landed and I got a text message from Kel. She's like, call as soon as you land. Mm-hmm. I landed and I was like, what's going on? She's like, well, Louie's got COVID. I said, oh no, is he okay? She's like, yeah, but he tested positive. So I get him on the phone. And at the time, he's probably, 4? Mm-hmm. 3 or 4? Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, buddy. I said, how you feeling? And he said, I feel fine, but I'm going to die. I had COVID. I said, oh, God, we got to turn off CNN.
Yeah, it was.
My little guy thinks he's going to die.
I was scary there for a second.
So my neighbor's dad, the dad, tests positive. My kid's been around him. Brad Carson, who I rode to the airport with, tests positive. Mm-hmm. My youngest son, tests positive, and now I've just landed in New York. Mm-hmm. All right, this has all happened. By Tuesday morning, I know all this has happened.
Yeah.
I go to studio Tuesday night. We're all in there coughing like this. The next morning, Brent Stover tests positive, and whoever one of the other analysts was tests positive. And I go back and test, and I'm still negative. Mm-hmm. And I get back in the studio that night on a Wednesday, and I'm coughing. Mm-hmm. They even created a side set for me. I wasn't even at the main desk anymore. They set me over here by myself.
Oh, boy.
And at this time, Jamie Erdahl worked for us. She had already popped positive. Basically, they had to call Adam Zucker in to host this night.
Oh, damn.
And it was really to a point. Adam Shine had tested positive the same week. And it got to the point they were like, GP, we know you're negative, or at least it says that, but you have to go home. Go back to your hotel, because if Zook tests positive, we're out of host.
Yeah, we're done.
You're going to end up having to host the NFL on Sunday. It was down. I was close. I really
That would have been cool.
Obviously, I was never going to host the NFL on Sunday, but we were at a point where if Zook would have tested positive, I was just going to have to host Inside College Basketball on CBS Sports Network.
Yeah.
And that was the one night they did send me home. And they were like, you just go to your hotel and stay there. So I keep thinking they're going to hear me on the podcast or on HQ or on CBS Sports and be like, we can't keep putting him on TV. But no, I got 3 hits to do.
All right, good luck, man. I hope you get through them.
I'm going to do my best. And then I'm going to turn out all the lights and drink something.
Good.
Enjoy your weekend. I'll enjoy mine. Probably not. Probably not going to enjoy I should stop bullshitting. I'm probably not going to enjoy my weekend. My weekend's probably going to suck, all right? But I hope you enjoy yours.
Good.
All right? And we'll meet back here Monday at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your head.